Asterism is an instrumental three-piece band from Japan. The band consists of 16-year-old Miyu on bass, 15-year-old Hauka on guitar, and Miyu on the drums at 19. It's unclear whether or not these names are stage names or if they're their actual legal names, at least to me. One thing that will be noted about the band is how insanely young they are. They are quickly gaining traction as they have been invited to perform at festivals. However, they've had to decline due to Japanese labor laws. Fortunately, an overwhelming majority of their fans are outside of Japan. They have just done their first international tour as of this video's recording, 2019, where they had performances in China and the United States. Their style can be described as hard rock, heavy metal, with a lot of a jazz influence as well. Ignition is the band's debut album, and it was released on August 22nd of 2018. The album has a feature of the legendary guitarist Buckethead and legendary bassist Bootsy Collins. Bootsy also produced 2 songs to the record as well, though it is unclear which 2 songs he produced. This is my first review, actually, to be requested via the YouTube comment section, and I'll thank the user Nightwitch for the suggestion. And what do you all want me to review next? Leave a suggestion in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to at least look into it. The artwork for this record, so we're going to jump right in, is what I would personally expect from an instrumental album, with the musicians on the, they'll usually be more singular, not plural, with just the musician on the cover with the instrument. The photo image, though, does do a good job with capturing how energetic the live performances are, which is what their reputation is known for. So for me, this is a 7 out of 10 cover. Now, upon listening to this record, one thing that is very prevalent throughout it is these kids are extremely talented musicians. Make no mistake, they have a very high ceiling too. This is not like they're rookies. This is like they play like seasoned veterans, but even better than that because they play like the best of those. This is an album where it's not just like fast noodling for 60 minutes and then call it a day. There is a lot of variety throughout this record, from the tempo to the feel. And speaking of which, it's just very easy to hear the amount of passion coming from them in these instruments. There is a lot of soul that was put into this record for sure. Now, there is a bit of a jazz side to the band, which I did mention earlier, which does kind of make me wonder if this was an album that was improvised, because part of jazz, like a big deal about jazz, is improvisation. And I wonder if that means that the live performances for the songs would be improvised in any way too, because I would imagine that this album, like with a lot of things on this album, I'd imagine it would just be a real pain to annotate. The album does throw actually quite a few changes throughout the record to keep it fresh and interesting, and every single one of them works. This does not feel like a debut album at all, as many of the issues that are present in one are not here. Everything has a clear direction throughout. If I were to describe the base of the record, it would be 80s and 90s metal. There is a bit of a in a few parts, like with the intro to Blaze, the intro to Dawn, the intro to Godspeed You, but none of it really feels dated at all. Actually, none of it feels dated outright. The guitars, which obviously to be expected, are phenomenal throughout. I don't think that's really a shock. With everything from the noodling to the chords, the bass and the drums set the foundation of the structures. That does not mean they don't have their moments to shine here and there, especially with the bass getting a few solos. Dawn is the longest track on the record at 9 minutes and 41 seconds, and every 3 minutes or so was a part composed individually by a member of the band. Not only is it not disjointed with the way it seems like it would be with the way they made the song, but it all somehow flows perfectly naturally. It's a very strong melodic track that starts out slow and builds with a nice drop. The guitars are very melodic, and it's very easy to picture vocals in place of the guitar with how strong it is melodically. There is a nice old-fashioned style solo halfway through the track. The drum fills are strong, and it slows down a bit around 6:15. And then there's a great bass solo at 6:50. The guitars go out blazing while the bass and drums feel very ballady at the very end. And you may be wondering why I'm talking about Dawn a lot. Well, that is because everything I said about this album, everything that they tried to do on this record working out perfectly, is symbolized perfectly by this track. And this song is the best song in my opinion, which I have a feeling this is probably going to be the favorite for a lot of people as well. That's just my gut feeling. And then we have Up the Horns, which was the next track, and it features some vocals in the chorus, which allows for the guitar to do some noodling in that melody section. There's a jazzy part in the middle, and then there's a killer bass solo, and it has a great fill with the drum to start. Blaze was the opening track, and it's actually a pretty strong opening track. Now the guitars definitely start off the album with a blaze. There is not a lot of variety in the drums here, as the drums do feel like not a bad thing. It's just more of the drums are kind of playing like that, more of a power metal-ish style. So it's very much minimalistic, which is not a bad thing. I'm not expecting, every single song to have crazy drum fills, So, yeah. And then the follow-up to the intro track was Light in the Dark, and it definitely does add more variety with the guitar taking a more melodic part, though there is some fast fiddling occasionally. Midnight Hunter is the shortest track on the album at 1:43, but it has some strong riffs and that make for a very catchy melody. Disperse is a strong closer and is the slowest song on the album, going for a more soulful feel. Though the speed of the guitar picks up at the end right as the song starts to fade out and bring everything to a close. If I had to say one thing that could be improved upon on this record, however, I would say there are a few times on the record when the bass is too quiet on the mix, though by no means is it a deal breaker, and it does not happen very often throughout this record. I will say, overall, it is an extremely strong debut record. There's not any of the trial and error actually, or a bit of the lost identity that a lot of debut records go through. There is a clear sight of focus and passion in this project. It is clear that every single song was crafted with a lot of effort, and there's not a single song in here that's just okay, mediocre, much less bad. There was a lot of heart put in this record, as it's clear as it's an album that was meant to be made in a way to inspire people pursuing music, as it did for myself, and it succeeded greatly in that goal. Instrumentation-wise, this is practically a perfect album, and this is a group I will definitely be paying attention to the future, and they definitely have a bright future, and I just hope the absolute best for this band, and they get the recognition that they so rightfully deserve. I'm going to be giving Ignition by Asterism a 9.5 out of 10. Now, my favorite tracks on this record, among a huge plethora of amazing songs, seriously, it was kind of hard to narrow this down, was Blaze, Light in the Darkness, Midnight Hunter, Dawn, Up the Horns, Overdrive, and Disperse. How did you feel about Ignition by Asterism? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Is this a band that's going to be on your radar, or are you just going to go ahead and pass on them? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I would like to thank you so much for taking time to watch this review, and I hope you all have an amazing day.